Hi there, I'm your host Cory McKane, and I want to welcome you to the In Fitness and in Health podcast, the best podcast out there for, well, everything fitness and health. We'll be interviewing all sides of the health and wellness world, industry experts from celebrity personal trainers, all the way to some of the leaders of the biggest fitness tech companies on the planet. We're going to be diving deep into the corners of fitness to get a better understanding of the ins and outs of the body, the mind, and the business of fitness. This podcast is absolutely sponsored by WeStrive. WeStrive is the world's #1 platform for health and wellness professionals, including personal trainers, nutritionists, yoga instructors, and the like. Head to WeStriveApp.com and use promo code podcast50, that's podcast50, to get 50% off your first 2 months after your free trial. Now, let's get started with this week's podcast. First of all, I love the background. Can we just touch on that really quick? You got a lot of cool stuff. Yeah.
So this is all the teams that we work with. Anything from the Carolina Panthers to the Jets to everybody. So there's there's a whole row here, and then a whole row right behind me.
Wait, let me get a video of this really. Can you do that one more time? Let me get a video of this.
Yeah. Here, I'll get out of the way here.
That's so cool. Okay. All right.
And then here's another side.
Okay.
And then behind me, I'll show you behind me.
Oh, wow.
So
very cool.
That. And then to the side of me, right here, this is the long version.
Very cool.
So this is our little this is kind of like our board where we kind of do the brainstorming and all that stuff. So it's where we kind of do the meetings and all that.
Very cool.
Anytime that we meet with somebody, they come in here, and then we just hash it out and all that good stuff. So this is more of a conference room than it is anything. It's kind of like it's a conference room, but the catch-all as well. So kind of it has a bunch of stuff laying around. Usually, if things get tore apart or if we have a quality control issue, I'll bring it in here and really kind of go through it and figure out why something's not going right or something's not acting right.
Gotcha.
So, so that's okay.
I was gonna say I love seeing rooms like that because we can't afford it right now, nor do we need to, and because of COVID too. But eventually, I do want a physical office, and I love taking people's ideas and energy and turning it into my own. So I'll do that. I'll do some version of that, but for personal training. So I love that so much.
Dude, I'm I wouldn't say I'm super cheap, but I'm super cheap when it comes to this type of stuff. I hired a guy. I got this whole entire room done. Our upstairs. This is the upstairs here. And then the downstairs, everything, it's all basically athletic oriented. But the downstairs is more along the lines of it's all the jerseys and stuff that's not like Michael Daniels and LeBron James and Steph Curry and all those guys. The people that aren't really close to us. But Marshawn's really close to us, but he's down there. But these are all the guys that are all these balls here are signed to us. It's 2 training masks from so and so, 2 training masks from so and so, right? So I'm super conservative when it's hey, I don't want to be spending a bunch of money on wood and drywall and TVs and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I look for the best deals, and literally we have local builders that were looking for work during COVID, and I said, hey, listen, here it is. This stuff, this metal right behind me, super cheap metal made by the Amish, and then and they ripple it, they hand cut it, they do everything right.
That's so cool.
I had a guy that came in and essentially busted out this room. We bought a new table for it to match it, and then I put new carpet in here because I wanted the carpet black when it used to be a dark blue.
Okay.
And it's all smoothed out now. So we it's just taking pride in the things that that find the perception is 9/10 of the value, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of I always tell everybody, if I brought you this pile of shit Ford Focus and it was $300, what would you say? You'd say, what's wrong with it, right? Yeah. But if I bought you this nice looking Ford Focus and I told you it was $3,000, you'd go, well, it might be of value, So perception is 9/10 of the value. So if you say, hey, listen, I want X, Y, and Z for something, it's based on the pricing of how the value is going to hold and in the perception of it. So the value equals the perception per se.
I totally agree. We try to reflect that stuff in all of our onboarding for WeStrive, and like even myself, like my new apartment, it just kind of has like crappy furniture. And this week I'm going through and just redoing everything. So I got back from a vacation. And I was like, why do I have this shit in my like why did I? So perception is everything. I totally agree, especially when I have guests over. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that
And the thing
yeah.
is like it's one thing having old beat up shit, but it's another thing having old beat up shit that's clean. It looks nice. It smells nice.
Mhm.
You know, you can have old beat up shit and it still have it look nice, right? And that's what a
Exactly.
lot of people, you know, like sometimes like people just throw things out that like could be fixed or it could, you know, it could be varnished up or whatever it is. You know, like you walk into some people's house and you go, well, they have a shit ton of money, but they sit on old shit. It's because are they frugal or are they just kind of messy people? You know,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
go, I don't know, but their house doesn't smell good and their furniture don't look good, so maybe they're just messy people, but have a shit ton of money. You know,
Yeah.
I would rather be clean and be broke than have like a dirty ass house and have a bunch of money,
That's
right?
fair. That's
It drives
fair.
me crazy. It drives me
That's
crazy
fair.
because like it's not like I'm OCD or anything, but it's like why don't you take care of the shit that you have, right? It's
Mhm.
like just take care of things. And sometimes things get run down. I understand that, and sometimes things got to be thrown out. I understand that. Like furniture is the first thing to go. Like you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that shit breaks down so fast because it's like it's made out of nothing, right? The
Mhm.
markup in furniture is substantial. I mean, it's like 70 to 80%.
Mhm.
So furniture, you look at it and you go, "Oh, that's nice. It's nice furniture. It feels nice." But it's like the Ferrari that has a four-cylinder engine in it, right? So
Mhm.
it's going to break down. It's not going to do what you want, and you're going to have it in your house for a little bit of time, and it's going to bust. And that's the way it goes.
Yeah. No, I mean, a common conversation to what we talked with we had Dan on here that runs Push Press. It's a mainly for small gyms and gyms to run their software. And he was talking about like the first thing that he does when he walks into the gym is like, is it clean? Is everything off the floor? Like, how does the aesthetic look? And so, I think something that people always forget is like, yeah, you can have like, for example, we work with personal trainers. Like, a personal trainer could have the best business in the world, but if they have like bands laying everywhere and like just crap out on the floor at their gym, it's like people aren't going to be as happy with it. So I totally agree. Um, but we're 6 minutes in.
Right. And then you
We haven't
start to
talked. Oh, go
question your
ahead.
membership.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh, I was
I was
just
just
saying, you got to start at that point. You start to question your membership because you go, "Is this stuff clean? Is this stuff new? Is this stuff being
mhm,
taken care of? Like, where are we at?" So, in reality, it comes to leadership, right? It's like,
mhm,
okay, who's taking care of the business? You know, is the business taking care of itself? Because evidently not, because things are laying on the floor. So somebody's got to come in and essentially clean up after somebody else that's a member. That's not going to set well with your members. They're going to start leaving you because they go, the place is a mess. The place
mhm,
doesn't hold value. Like this isn't what I paid for. And that's
mhm,
where the leader has got to step in and go, okay, I need somebody in there to clean once a day. I need somebody to mop the floors. I need somebody to wipe things down. And that's
mhm,
where, you get a great leader and all the rest will follow. But if you have a shitty leader, and what happens is that trickles down as well. And essentially, it's not that they don't care about the business, but they think like, hey, I injected all this money. I put all this money up front. Like this thing should just like go. That's not
mhm,
how it goes. You know as well as I do. Like if you didn't
mhm.
have touch points on everything and you weren't pushing down on everything and looking at everything, things fall through the cracks. And that's life, right? That's life, that's business, that's everything.
No, they literally do. I mean, we just launched an update last week for the app, and it was a brand new update. And I did a little bit of. I usually am very thorough on testing it, but I was like, you know what? Look, it works pretty well. And we updated it, and then one of our trainers goes, "Hey, when you open a video, the whole app crashes." And I was like, "Oh my god!" So it was just
Yeah.
like a random thing that we didn't catch, so we had to do a quick update, and we fixed it thankfully. But I mean, you
Yeah.
got to be super thorough for sure.
Yep. Exactly. And
Yeah.
the thing is like it's not like you meant that for that to happen, right? It's not like it's negligence on your part where you're going, oh, like, hey, I just don't care if the app crashes. I don't care if the video makes
Hmm.
the app crash. It's like one of those things that you overlook because you're so busy picking up these other little parts and putting them
Hmm.
together that like you thought that was a solid part. You go, I
Hmm.
probably don't have to check that because I know the video hasn't crashed in all the time that we've been uploading videos or that people
Hmm.
are trying to view videos. So it's not like it's just a little small oversight that like the solid pieces sometimes fall as well.
Exactly. No, 100%. And so we've put positions in or policies in place since this week, and Definitely going to help us moving forward. But
Absolutely.
we're 9 minutes in and we don't even know what you do yet. So
Ah. Well,
tell us who you are and what you do.
yeah, so I'm Casey Danford from the Elevation Training Mask. We are a device that helps with performance breathing. We are essentially like into Dick's Sporting Goods, Academy Sports, and a lot of other retailers. Big Five is another one of them. We work on basically on lung conditioning. In return, what happens is oxygen efficiency. We put your body under a resistance load. Right. In return, what happens? Oxygen efficiency within the bloodstream goes up. The heart efficiency. What we're finding, we're actually under clinical study with Mayo Clinic right now. And what we're finding with Mayo Clinic is that the heart becomes a more efficient pump. And you go, well, how does that work? Well, what happens is when you put your lungs under a resistance load, the heart it doesn't beat faster, it beats harder. So it becomes a better pump at taking the oxygen and bringing it up out of the legs faster, because the oxygen is the first thing that will steal, the legs are the first thing that will steal the oxygen. And essentially, like older people, the oxygen is notorious for staying down and being used in the legs. So what happens when they put a training mask on, like this isn't just any training mask. This is the Elevation Training Mask here in Cadillac, Michigan. We are the ones that are under Mayo Clinic review, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta say that, because we do have knockoffs in the marketplace, not counterfeits, but knockoffs. People that want to be us. I mean, if you're first in the market, the first in the door gets shot, second one, takes the cake. But that's not the case with us. We're always up in front, and we're always up and going. So one of the things that, about us as under clinical study, like we're the ones that are proving the way, right? We're the ones that are going, hey, we're going under Mayo Clinic. We're the ones that, went through the University of North Texas clinical study for a year and a half. So like what happens with that is when we're under clinical study, we have great findings, but then we have other masks that want to try to use our claims. University of North Texas found post-workout using the Elevation Training Mask. What happens there is growth hormone increases by 33%. Not only that, but then beta endorphins release. So the scientist came to us and he says, when people say they love their mask because we force the body to release beta endorphins, which makes your energy level go up and your endorphins go up. So they say, oh, I love my mask. That's the reason why. So we are the Elevation Training Mask. Now we make no claims to elevation on that. We are Training Mask online, Elevation Training Mask and trademark. We have over 110 patents worldwide. We have over 378 trademarks worldwide. We've been very, very good at, getting out there in the marketplace, getting high endurance athletes, getting great athletes. We came out in 2010. That being said, we partnered with Training Mask partnered with Sean Shirk when we first came out, who was UFC champion in 2007 and 2008. So we came out with the Elevation Training Mask 1.0. I had one laying around here somewhere. I don't see it right here, but right here. My bad. So this was the Elevation Training Mask 1.0.
I love it.
So this is the first mask that we actually came out with Sean Shirk. And I was actually watching Sean train on a YouTube video. And I called him because we had done business together before with in the supplement market. And I said, Sean, what are you doing in this video? He says, well, I don't really know what it does, but I take duct tape and I cover my face with it, and then I poke holes into it. I said, well, okay, like, what are you doing there? He goes, I don't know what it does. He said, but I have the best cardio in the UFC, so it must do something. So I started doing some research and started doing a roundabout pool of history on this thing. And I started looking into the video a little bit more, and it had 386 comments on it. And all those comments were going, hey, how do I do this to my mask? Hey, like, can you make me a mask? Hey, can you sell me one of those masks? And I'm like, time out. We have a pre-made audience here. So why not go back and go, hey, we made this mask, which is the Elevation Training Mask 1.0. We made this. Why don't you guys go out and, buy from us? So that's what happened. Sean said, well, we can go to market with it. I know nothing of marketing, but I can be the face of the product. And so that's what we did. We went out. We went to Tampa. We went to California. We went all over the place. UFC fan expos everywhere. So we went all around the nation, basically getting this product out there. And then I noticed a dip in sales in about late of 2011. and I knew I had to make a change really fast. So in June of 2012, we came out with the Training Mask 2.0. That being said, Training Mask 2.0, when we launched that thing, we had so many people looking for that device. We blew the server apart. Essentially, I couldn't get it back online for I don't want to say like 2 hours. It was crazy.
Wait,
Just
what was the difference
pounding.
between one and two? What was the difference there?
Well, the 2.0 is it has actually 3 valves in it. It's the one you see with that Marshawn Lynch wore out on Super Bowl Sunday. And I should have had some of these. Actually, the 2.0 is right up here. It has 3 valves on the front of it, and that was in 2012. We came out with that. 2013, 14, the sales were growing. 15 hit, and Marshawn Lynch walked out on it with Super Bowl Sunday. Then
wait, is it the one where he has like the red, yellow, and green on it?
Yeah, that was us. That's us. So that like it was. I think it was the Hawaiian leaf or whatever it is. And then when he walked out with the Hawaiian leaf on, it was like we couldn't keep any of that in stock. We were bringing in 60,000 a month, and they were going out just as fast as we were bringing in.
60,000 units.
Mess, yeah.
That's
we couldn't
insane.
keep them. It was absolutely crazy. Dick's Sporting Goods, Academy Sports, they were all putting in emergency ship orders. It was to the point where it was like everybody who watched the Super Bowl went to Dick's Sporting Goods or Academy. So it was absolutely crazy. So we fulfilled those orders. We didn't have much backlog at all. And then 2016 came along, and we ended up in Jake Gyllenhaal's Southpaw, and then we ended up in Apollo Creed. Yeah, and then we ended up on a Titan Netflix series. So it was pretty amazing how much publicity that spillover actually had. But prior to Marshawn, Michael B. Jordan actually called our facility here and said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to get you guys in the major motion pictures studio. I need like 30 masks." And my little brother was like, "I don't know like who this Michael B. Jordan guy is. It sounds like he's making a play on Michael Jordan's name." I'm like, "You know what? Just send him the 30 masks." Yeah, it's like, okay, whatever. But he said like, major picture. I said, let's go. So that was kind of like where I was like, okay, we can take the risk and get on, or we can take the risk and not get on, or not take the risk and not get on. So why don't you just take the risk? And that's where it's like kind of like the risk reward. So 2016, that was booming. 2017, it was like the year of education. We really need to educate our consumers. Even to this day, like some of our consumers still don't know how to use our device. Like we say, oh yeah, hey, listen, go out there and use it in your workout. Use it however you want. But we have a whole system coming in play pretty soon here, and that's going to be, with the WeStrive app. This is going to be one of the platforms that we launch on. It's not just going to be an app that we create. It's going to be the WeStrive and a couple other things that we're going to launch on. We're going to launch on YouTube and WeStrive, but we think we're going to take WeStrive and have some exclusive content on that. And so they'll be able to sign up through WeStrive and essentially get specific exercises for focused breathing, for enhanced breathing, for deep water breathing. So there's like methods that we have, and we're working with a lot of breathing coaches right now that seem to have this general knowledge that they want to give for free. But in return, what happens is we got to get that out to the public for free. Right. So exactly. We'll have on the WeStrive, what the WeStrive, app with us, like we're going to get free content out there, but we're also going to be able to get breathing coaches. We're going to get fitness coaches. We're going to have all kinds of different things to where we can utilize your platform to the maximum. So 17 comes along, education, 18 comes along, Training Mask continues to develop. And then we came along with Training Mask, we start coming out with like filtration devices, right? This was in 2018, before COVID even came about. Like we didn't know anything about COVID. We didn't, obviously it wasn't around then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that being said, like what happens is like we create a product called Vent. Vent comes out. It has a 99% filtration rate. We've got it proof through Nelson Laboratories for the PFE and the BFE. So like what happens with the Vent is it takes off. Right. So we feel, okay, yeah, it's good. 2020 comes along and we start getting these orders from China and we get them from Hong Kong, and they're just pounding Vent. And we're like, what's going on? So we didn't really know like exactly, what's taking place. So one of the guys that we work with primarily over there, he calls and he's like, listen, I need like if you can get hand sanitizer, if you can get masks, you can get like he just gave me a list of stuff, and I'm like, listen, we have masks. That's what we do. We're not in the hand sanitizer business. I can go to the
Yeah,
local store and get you
yeah,
some if you want, like, but it's
yeah.
not what I do, right? So that being said, we do have spray clean that that it has an alcohol base with essential oils, and some other stuff that's in there. But the thing is like that's not what it's used for. That's not what it's intended for. It's not a disinfectant. It's not. It's basically to rejuvenate your mask and make you smell better, right? So 2020 comes along. In about April, we notice like things are starting to get really weird because we're selling stuff that was kind of a slow seller like then. So all of a sudden, mid-April, sales go through the roof. We got 7,000 orders behind. It took us about 2 weeks to fill those 7,000 orders because it's not just a mask. There was people in there ordering 50 at a time, 50 masks at a time through our website, and we're like, holy smokes, construction companies, this, like all this craziness was happening.
That's crazy.
Right? And so it was just kind of like we're looking at this and going, something's really off. Something's not right.
With that, have you guys done any testing to see if it prevents COVID at all, or did you kind of just like let them buy the masks? Like,
well, the only thing that with masks, like you can't really prevent it. I don't know, like if they could tell, they honestly could tell us where it comes from. Does it come from? Is it on our hands? It's not airborne, right?
And originally, so, when COVID first started, I was like spraying. I thought it was on surfaces like everywhere. So yeah. I was So
and that doesn't hold to be true per se because they're going if it was on surfaces, then everybody who has money, like okay, so we got money, like everybody who had money, how much money transacted during COVID, right? Well, a lot of money. But I think some of the things is like okay, did it stick to coins? Did we have a coin shortage because maybe they realize, hey, maybe like we need to wash the coins, or hey, maybe we need to look at the coins and see if they're holding on to COVID, or where does it stick, or where does it go? A lot of people, like a lot of people, they sneeze, they put their hands, and then they put it on other stuff. I don't know, like they can't tell us like how long is the death rate? Like how long does this? What's the time to live on this? The TTL, right? What's the time to live? Like if I sneeze on this, I have COVID. How long before that virus is dead? It's just like it's like the ghost in the closet or the monster under the bed. Who knows? We don't know because like we're not getting good information. I feel like this whole entire time, this whole last year has not been good information because nobody really knows much about this, but they want you to do masks and they want you to do this and they want you to do that. And sure, like people conform because it's the unknown. People don't know. Obviously, like flu has went away because that's being tucked underneath something else. And then lo and behold, like we got to have masks and we got to have, I will say this. I think the hygiene has been better. Like people wiping things down, like
especially gyms. I've noticed the gyms I've been to are like, stuff that they should have been doing all along, like just more spray bottles. And I'm like, why was this so hard to do in the first place? So,
and that's the thing. Like I told my wife, like, when our kids were in school, she's like, I don't know about all this COVID stuff. I'm like, I'm telling you, like our kids aren't coming home with snotty noses. They're not getting the flu. Like we didn't have one flu case. We didn't have not one COVID case in the school, where the kids got sick per se. So it was kind of like, I felt like everything got a lot more clean. But what is that? What's the coincide with being clean? Like, are we then, yeah, sure, we're clean, but then we're not exposed to certain things, right? We're not exposed to bacteria. We're not exposed to viruses. So then does that create a weakness in our immune system? Are we becoming immune compromised? So there's just like, there's offputs of everything. It's like, if we touch a door handle that has bacteria on it, we put it in our mouth to become, and then bacteria resistant or virus resistant, we build our immunity that way. If we continue to use alcohol, we continue to use vital oxide or whatever it is on door handles and this and that, does that weaken the immune system? And I believe the answer is yes. But at the end of the day, is the weaker immune system offset of us predicting or trying to get rid of COVID? We don't know, right? So there's like these handoffs that nobody really knows. And I can't say from one administration to the other. I don't want to get into politics or anything like that. I know people do get sick. My best friend just got sick from this. It's like, it's nothing like, it's not like, oh, hey, COVID chose him because he's Democrat or Republic. No, it's because like his kid came home with it. He got sick, got somewhere, he got on his hands, he gave her a kiss goodnight, something like that, where there's a contraction there. And he knows that he got sick from his kid. Like there is like, he knows that because she got it, went to the doctor, got tested, and then he got it. But I'm telling you, COVID is a real thing. It's not something to be like, it's not like, oh, run to the high heels over it, but you got to wash your hands, cover your mouth when you sneeze, don't be chewing your fingernails like after you've touched a bunch of money. But like, I don't think money and coins are the contraction point. I think like sneeze, wipe, and then like you come right along. Like, so say somebody at the fast food joint. I like during COVID, during 2020, I barely ate anywhere other than home, where I knew I could prepare my own meals. I knew where they came from, a can, or they came from somewhere else, and I wash them off, and then I can actually do that. Right. I don't have to have somebody handing me a hamburger after they sneeze in their hand and saying, oh, is this where we get contracted? Like, what is that? So what does the live virus look like? And what's the time to live on the live virus, where, hey, it's on the surface or it's on my hands and out of the body? How long does that live? Right. So, and then I also read not to continue on this, but I also read, if you look this up, you can look this up on anywhere on Google and all that. Nose spray, like, yeah, we got to get the shot, this and that. Like, but like nose spray was known with micronized alcohol is what they're saying. Essentially the delivery method of the medicine that goes in your nose, they're saying essentially every 3 days, like if you take a sniff of, whatever it is with micronized alcohol, then the risks of COVID go down by like 96%.
I can see how that could work, because I mean, just definitely being able to like disinfect that specific area where the COVID can get into. So,
right.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm a knowledge of worthless information, dude.
I feel like everyone is during COVID though, so it's like that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. Right.
So what primary athletes or specific brands do you guys work with right now?
Specific brands, we're really trying to go into what you consider is the Whoop space, right? We don't want to be a analyzer. We don't want to be, like a heart or a sleep, a sleep measure. What we're going to do is where we're headed. And we've already tested it. We've already done everything, and we're actually going to the CES in 2022. We're actually going to launch a product that has analytics to it, right? Breathing analytics, inspiration, expiration, lung volume thresholds, exertion scores, things like that. Like we are going to be able to, we already have it. We're actually working on the back end of the analytics platform. We already have the device. We have it's essentially with the Training Mask 3.0 and the Training Mask Apollo. So we're going to give you the ability to just without resistance, and then we're going to give you the ability with resistance. So we're taking the Apollo with Apollo filtration, and we're going to make that device have a twist-on cap that's going to just measure breathing. So let's say you're in a yoga class and you don't want to be making a bunch of noise, like because there is a little bit of whistle to the 3.0. And that's common. You have two plastic parts that have space between them. Like that's going to happen, right? So the Apollo is going to be one of these measuring devices when you're under, like let's say you're doing yoga or you're doing Zen, or you're doing whatever breathing exercises you're going to be doing. Let's say you're doing the breathing app. So it's one of the things that we're going to focus in on is the analytics and the biotechnology per se, biofeedback. That's what we want. We want the biofeedback. Once we get the data, then we start analyzing, and we do optimal breathing patterns. We have algorithms for this. The optimal breathing patterns, it would surprise you on, how bad people actually breathe. So what we do is we aim to fix those by following patterns. It's a 10-week process. So you start off, I'm going to gauge your first breathing habits. We're gonna go in and we're gonna analyze your breathing for half an hour to an hour. So we want you to wear this half an hour to an hour when we first start. We're gonna analyze what you do, how you breathe. If you have a shortness of breath, if you have longevity of breath, like basically long strokes of breath, both are unhealthy, right? If we're constantly clearing our lungs full of air, like we're gonna, we start doing taxation and exertions. And then if we don't take a long enough breath, like there's a study out there that says basically like 89% of people don't make it to the bottom side of their lungs on the daily basis. And that's because we sit at the desk all the time and we're only hitting literally 17% of our bronchi. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So biofeedback is the future.
So that's coming out next year, and then like for this current timeline and in the past, like what, like I know you worked with Marshawn Lynch, but like what other athletes have you guys been with so far?
Oh man, Tahir Whitehead, Matt Stafford. I mean, Kenny Galladay. Like I can look up and see all these athletes that I worked with. San Antonio Holmes was one of them. San Antonio wanted to move up to Michigan with us and work out of our facility here and as an influencer and all that good stuff. So it's kind of funny because you run across some of these great athletes that have like a massive following and a massive community. But unless they're engaging their communities, they're really their name is the only thing that they're holding on to. The minute they start to talk, they don't really make any sense, or they lose their fan base. So some of those guys, like we can have them as an influencer. Now, I'm not saying that about the guys that we work with, but I do see it on the platforms. You got an influencer out there that has a great name, but as soon as he jumps on camera, you're just like, man, like that's not who we want to represent the brand, right? Like guys like Tahir Whitehead, like Tahir is a very, very well-spoken person. And not only is he well-spoken, but then he understands the product. He understands what it does, how it works, how to operate it, and how to implement it, right? And that's what a lot of people don't understand is like when you start with the training mask, like the performance breathing section of it, it's like, okay, well, how do I use this? Well, let's start with like getting used to the device first. We can't just jump into exercise. You're not just going to go out and say, hey, this is my first day running. I'm going to run a 5K, right? So why would you do that with any device that you have? Training mask at 3.0, 2.0, whatever it is, it's a tool. It's to be used during your workout or after your workout, however you want to work it out. And that's what we're going to give you guys. That's what we're going to give the people coming up is how to use it and when to use it. If you want to do certain things like fat burning, let's go through our workout and then use it to calm down the heart after the fact. But then we're going to get you in a heart like basically like a heart situation of like we're going to lower that heart rate, but we're going to increase the fat burn, right? So that's where the calm down, the actual like burn rate of your fat actually goes up is post workout.
And then how many masks have you guys sold this far? Let me redo that. How many masks have you guys sold this far, like throughout your history?
Throughout the history, around 9 million, I would say, around 9 million masks sold. So
Very
that
cool.
being said, it's like that combined 2.0, 3.0, Apollo, Vent, all that. So we have that many units sold, and that's worldwide. Don't get me wrong. That's not just in the United States. That's worldwide.
Very cool. That's all. I mean, I can't even fathom that number. That's shipping that many masks. So what have you guys done to grow the brand? Like, what have you done, like from here from beginning till now? Like, what things have worked for you guys to get to the point where you're at?
So to grow the brand, like literally we work with the athletes that we have. One of the things that we do to make sure that we're staying on the edge of things is we make sure that we give people that, like let's say somebody's climbing Mount Everest, we give them a mask. Somebody needs a mask for an event. Or what we also do is like we work with these athletes. Larry Fitzgerald is one of them. We can give them anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 masks, or 1,000, 2,000 bags and footballs. We give like footballs like this away to them, to each kid. So we make sure that the youth actually see us, because those are our next customers. If we don't build the youth, we don't build the future.
Okay, awesome. No, I totally agree. And we're trying to figure out stuff as far as WeStrive goes on how we can like give programs for kids, like find some way to give back, because we haven't done that yet, and it's something that I'm super interested in. I feel like everyone I interview on this podcast, they have some sort of like give back to the youth, and so I kind of want to hop into that same conversation.
I'll tell you this: women love to spend money, right? We all know that.
Okay.
So we like the guys like to spend money, but we don't really, we don't really return things, and we don't really go out and indulge. And like we, so as a guy, we're not one of these guys that are like caught up into Louis Vuitton and this. Like we like fishing poles and cool shoes, right? So
Okay. Fair
that's
enough.
that's the way it goes. But like for women, they're the ones that really spend the money for the kids, right? So
Okay.
if I market to the kids, who do I get? And I get the women, right? Because
Okay.
they're going to wear whatever the kids wear. So they have matching uniforms when they go out. Like if the kids are wearing Nike shoes, mom's wearing Nike shoes. Kids wearing Under Armour shoes, mom's wearing Under Armour shoes, right? So you get the
Mhm.
kids, you get the mom, right? And those in the moms are who spend the money for their kids, right? And that's not to say that dads don't care about their kids, or dads don't do things for their kids. Like, there's some great dads out there, and maybe mom's missing in the picture, or maybe mom and dad are separated. Like there's
Mhm.
instances, and like I can't tap on everything, but I'm not saying dads don't pull their weight, because I
Mhm.
feel like dads aren't sometimes given enough credit, because you bust your ass at work, and then you go home, and you got a family, and it's family to feed, and that's and that could be vice versa with male versus female, right?
Mhm.
But I went out to the Under Armour Future Show in 2015. You can look it up. Under Armour Future Show 2015, and they had a lot of kids stuff there, and they said basically we're having a hard time getting into the female market. We're trying to get into the mom market, the soccer mom market. We can't figure out how to get into to that market.
Mhm.
And they hired a guy from Nike. The first thing he did is he goes, "Why are we in female?" And he said, "Well, we're just trying to get into the female market." He goes, "No, we got 5 years of kid stuff that we need to produce. Hyper colors, great looking colors, pastels. We need to be front and center, bright, and then we get the females, then we get the moms." And from there, then they started into activewear, activewear for women, and that's what happened. So they had to make a big switch,
Mhm.
and primarily they didn't have the female market. They didn't have a very good female market until it came around 17, 18, and 19. And I still feel like Under Armour has a lot of learning to do about their audience, right? Nike
Mhm.
kills it because their audience values their product. Under
Mhm.
Armour doesn't do as well as Nike because their audience wears their product, right? So as
Mhm.
soon as Under Armour starts putting in like collectibles, things that people save, and they increase in value over time, they're not going to be a Nike.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, Nike's been at the top of the game for a minute now, so
Yeah,
I mean, we still are working on our demographics personally as far as advertising goes. So I feel like
yeah,
everything that we do is kind of just like one off top. So we need to start advertising for both gender or all genders, and then also advertising for new trainers, older trainers, certified, like that
right.
kind of stuff. So,
you are
um,
you're in a segment where you're in a growth phase, and you are front funnel only. You're in the
mhm,
cast the neck, let's pull people in, show them our product, show them the value, and
mhm,
lead with value. That's what you need to do, is lead with the value, right? Because what
mhm,
happens is people get caught up, and they want to tell you no. They want to tell you no. I like, well, I'm not pitching the value. If you're pitching them and they're not buying the value, right?
mhm,
So you get a rejection, you got to hit them with the value.
mhm.
Like, of
Absolutely. No,
course,
yeah.
I understand it's $99 a month. I don't know how much your plans are. Maybe like, but for that $99 a month, you can manage your clients. You can do this with your people. You can do that. You can get them. Hey, listen, we're not going to be in session today. I can get a mass SMS or a mass push notification out there. So a lot of times, like people just don't understand what you're offering, and that's why they bring the no. And then you bring the value, and they go, okay, listen, this could be of value. So money is the issue. So if I say, hey, listen, you're losing $400 a month for over $99 subscription, I'm selling you a value. Like I'm going to
Mhm.
get you more clients. I'm going to give you a platform, right? And that's the goal.
No, no, absolutely. Yeah, for us, like we got a lot of value. So I mean, especially like bringing on products, like we're partnering up with a couple different certifications, partnering up with training mass is going to be great. So we're definitely bringing the value as far as the software goes, and I think partnerships is going to be big for us moving forward. Um, and with you guys, so like what I know you said you have that plan for 2022, but like what's your end game plan? Like what are you guys like? You guys want to be on every team on the planet? Like what's the goal for Training Mask?
Yeah. So like when we go into the audience segment, like what's the end game? The audience segment is the end game for us. It's like once we come out with the electronics inside the mask, that's going to be given essentially. We can have you under a resistance load or not, right? But
Mhm,
what we are going to do is you're going to be able to get the community feedback, right? So
mhm,
community feedback, that means like if I have a bunch of NFL guys, if I have 52 NFL guys out there, I have on my board who's being exerted, who's running too hard, who's warming up too fast. And it starts
mhm,
saying, hey, it starts basically giving them feedback of, hey, we're getting too fat, we're getting too warm too fast. Hey, we're breathing too hard here. Hey, we're doing so this software that we're developing is going to essentially bring those people that are exerting themselves during warm-ups or exerting themselves in whether it's a marathon or a 5K or a 10K. It's going
mhm,
to bring to fruition exactly who is exerting themselves too fast, who's not pushing themselves hard enough. It's going to tell on the athletes of, hey, listen, this athlete is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing and breathing exactly how they're supposed to be breathing, the efficiency of that. And it's like a machine that runs correctly, or it's like a machine that has a wobble in it. Which one do you trust for longevity? Right? The
mhm,
machine that is running efficiently. And that's the way it is with bodies. Great athletes do things efficiently. When
mhm,
you get an inefficient person that has a wobble, or something's wrong, we start breathing out of turn, or breathing deep, or breathing shallow, or pant breathing. Things go wrong with those people. They pass out, or they have some type of a mechanism that's going wrong. Or is there a detail of a medical condition? We don't know.
mhm.
However, that's means for getting something checked out with your doctor or a cardio specialist, right? Or so we're focusing in on the data, the actual realization, the virtualization of hooking it to a device that's going to be able to tell you exactly who's doing what and when and where and how hard they're doing it.
I love that. No, and I think, I mean, based on how many iterations you guys have had from the first 3 products, I think you guys are gonna have a lot of success with the next couple ones you put out. So,
Yeah.
um, so I think that was a great podcast so far. I mean, do you have anything that you wanna leave the audience with or anything that you're coming out with?
Yeah, just the biofeedback mechanisms. That's our main focus. There's always going to be training devices out there. We're actually working on training devices that will help your performance, not just with the lungs, but also with the body. So
Okay.
we have a co-brand coming out. I don't want to unveil it yet. But we do have a co-brand coming out that's owned by Training Mass. That's going to be our um, essentially our performance devices segment. So it's not going to be in the breathing world. It's going to be in essentially make me faster, make me stronger, make me bigger.
Mhm,
That's where we're headed. We don't want to go too far down the segment of fitness to where we get
mhm.
out of our niche. We want things that coincide with breathing and coincide with our mass. So we would never get into like weightlifting equipment. We would never get into.
Yeah.
We want things that complement each other. Hey, listen, if I breathe
Mhm.
this hard and do this exercise with this device, it'll make me a better athlete. And that's overall the goal, is to make everybody happier and healthier.
I love that, and so I'll be sure to include all the links to Training Mask on here, and I'm excited to any of our WeStrive users in the next few months be able to see Training Mask on there, and I'm excited for the partnership moving forward. So
Absolutely, man. I
thanks for
appreciate
coming
it.
up.
Thanks for having me on this podcast, and keep up the good work. And if you guys haven't downloaded the WeStrive app, get on the WeStrive app.
Oh,
Look us
thumbs
up,
down.
Training Mass, and then get yourself on there. If you're a coach, if you're a trainer, get yourself on there as a coach or a trainer, and then get your students getting in underneath yourself. So because you can get the outreach is going to be amazing. So I appreciate it,
Absolutely.
guys. Thanks for your time, and do you just continue to do what you're doing, buddy.
There we go. Good stuff, man. Thank you.